Renee Jefferson is with us tonight. She's a professor of law at the University of Houston Law Center and also the co-author of Shortlisted, Women in the Shadows of the Supreme Court. Professor, good to have you here. So Judge Jackson spent a really good portion of her day listening to other people speak about her. You know, she was cool, calm, collected, the tight shot on her face. She, sat there smiling. As a person, and we're going to get to her judicial philosophy tomorrow, but who is the person Ketanji Brown Jackson?
Well, I think we were able to see it very much on display as she sat with patience, and she was very humble as she listened to both wonderfully glowing compliments about her from some senators, and then some senators promising that the next 2 days are going to be quite challenging and grueling for her. And then, of course, we were able to, at the conclusion today, hear more personal introductions from people who know her a little bit better. And so I think in every aspect that we saw her today, we were able to observe the kind of justice that she will be. Someone who listens carefully, someone who is thoughtful, someone who is respectful, whether she agrees or not with the individuals that she is hearing from.
She graduated from Harvard Law School and eventually became a public defender. I'm sure that you train lawyers all the time who say, I want to go be a public defender. But for lots of people, they would make that beeline for the private firm, make millions of dollars, never leave that firm. She left that world and went to be a public defender. What does that tell us?
Well, I think it tells us a few things. First, she wanted to have a diverse law practice experience, and that may have been, in fact, from what I understand, a function of other things that she was prioritizing in her life. Having a family, raising children is very difficult as a private practice lawyer, especially if you're litigating. Your schedule is not your own. Going into government service is often a way to strike that balance, at least to have a better chance at striking it. That choice reflects pragmatic decisions that one has to make when navigating their career. And it also reflects that she wasn't on a particular track that was motivated solely by prestige and money, but that she wanted to have a more diverse law practice. And of course, now that's what she will bring to the court. Diversity far beyond just being our first Black female justice, although I hate to say just, because that's of course incredibly significant.
In recent nominations for the court, the judges' private lives, you think of Amy Coney Barrett, being Catholic was a big deal, her big family was a big deal, Brett Kavanaugh, whether it was the drinking or sexual aggression, allegations, debts that he owed, that all became a focal point. Judge Jackson's private life, it really hasn't garnered much public attention. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think the focus has been on her extraordinary qualifications, and that's, of course, appropriate and where it should be. I do think, though, that we will hear a little bit more about her family. We certainly heard reference to it today, both the fact that she has two daughters and she has one daughter who's quite an advocate herself. She penned a letter to President Obama a few years ago recommending her mother for the court.
You've written extensively about women and the highest court in the land, specifically nominees being shortlisted, getting into that Oval Office meeting. Most have carved a distinct path and career for themselves. Harriet Miers probably accepted there. But if you could just place Judge Jackson in the court's larger history for us, if you would.
Well, she couldn't be more qualified compared to other justices who have not just been placed on the short list, but come off it, importantly, right, to be appointed to the court. She is one of very few, though, women who have made it off the short list. And in my research, I've gone back all the way to the 1930s and found that the first woman considered by a president was a woman named Florence Allen, and she showed up and was floated under Truman, appeared on a short list for FDR. And so this nomination is a long time coming. If you think about women first showing up on presidential shortlists in the 1930s, and then we get to the 80s when a woman finally comes off the shortlist and makes it to the Supreme Court with O'Connor. But then in the 80s, Reagan did consider a Black female justice, Amalia Kearse, who to be a potential justice. She was a judge at the time on the Second Circuit. In fact, she still sits there today in senior status. And yet we've waited decades, indeed almost a lifetime since women were allowed to join the Supreme Court before we will have our nation's first Black female justice.
Renee, Knake, Jefferson, thank you.
Thank you.